What's going on, chat? So today we're going to be doing an introduction to Hook Darius. This deck is very strong, but does have some issues. It is actually one of the only decks, or the only deck, to go undefeated in Rift Lab Clash. I'm pretty sure the undefeated player brought Hook all 4 times, but he brought it at least 3 times that I know for sure. But anyway, this deck is a very powerful deck, and it has a lot of good matchups into Aurora. It has good, decent matchups into Kaisa. It could have some trouble against Yi, but yeah, it has a very good matchup spread, and it has a lot of ways to win and just beat opponents by playing way too many threats in the early to mid game, and has a lot of ways to close out the game between a lot of high quality cards. And let's just go ahead and get to it. The deck list will be in the description and in the comments for anyone interested, and leave any comments if you guys want me to do any introductions to any other decks, or if you guys have any questions. And let's go ahead and just get started here. So the reasons you would play Hook Darius are mostly because of his legend ability and because of baited hook. So we're just going to go over that real quick. So the legend for Darius, he has a reaction, Legion, and he adds 1 energy. So basically, if you play 1 card, then you'll get access to a second energy that Darius can generate, which means that on going second, you actually have the opportunity to play 2 2-drops, because you're gonna start at 3 runes, and then you play the 2-drop, and then you're gonna get access to 1 more energy, and then you have 1 rune left to make the second energy. So you're gonna have that. But basically every turn you can have so much access to so many runes, and you have red Darius, which means you can haste that out and just attack immediately for 7. But yeah, so one reason why this deck is good is because without baited hook, you're just very aggressive. So on turn 1, let's say you're going first, you have a lot of, we'll go over the individual plays actually when we go over deck list, but there are just so many things you could do, because every turn you're gonna have 1 extra rune, and this extra rune makes a huge difference in a lot of things that you're gonna do. We'll see that later. So that would make the first reason is because the legend ability allows for a lot of very aggressive starts and sustained pressure throughout the early and mid game. The deck is also very versatile and has many tools to win without baited hook, which we'll go over. But also the other reason to play the baited hook Darius is because of this card. So what this does is, for 1 and a yellow, and tapping the exhausting the hook, you can go ahead and take one of your friendly units, look at the top 5 cards of your main deck, and play a unit from among them that has might up to 1 more than that unit, and then you just ignore the cost completely, and you don't even pay power costs, and you recycle the rest. So some people call this the birthing pod deck. I used to play Magic, but I am not from that period of time, nor do I play the formats which birthing pod was used in or is currently used in. But basically what you do is you turn one of your smaller units into a much larger unit, and the units selected here are very above rate for what you pay for. So for example, a Draven, right? A Draven is balanced around the fact that it costs 5, but if you can get it out with a baited hook and getting rid of maybe one of your 2-drops or a faithful manufacturer, something with 2 might, then you might be able to just get out a unit with 8 whole might sometimes, and there's 7 might if you have 4 points, and then you go to 6, Draven will be at 9 might. But there's just a lot of efficient units that you can get out. Like for example, if you have a recruit and you use beta hook on it, you can get a Vayne, which is 5 might on the attack. So anyway, we're gonna go back to that initial section. this is the reason to play baited hook, is because it goes very well. You can very well with Darius. You can pay this one here with this. So you can play the baited hook. You pay the 1 energy using this right here, using Darius' ability since you played a card. Or if you already have a baited hook, and the first thing you do is you hook, you're going to go ahead and be able to get access to this ability immediately. So they're just very synergistic in that way. And the colors are very good because obviously you need yellow for the hook, but red has a lot of very high quality cards at low might that cost a lot, just like those cards that we showed you. But yeah, so the main reasons why to play baited hook is because of this ability and this ability, right? So it's crazy because the Darius Legend gives you so much energy for free over a span of a game. Like, for example, maybe over 5 turns, you would have used it 3 to 4 times. So just the Legend ability giving you an additional energy every turn or those turns is probably just enough to create such a large lead that the opponent will have trouble dealing with your stuff, and that is the concept of the deck. And another very deep reason to play baited hook is because or play this deck is because the baited hook leverages good memory by allowing you to calculate future draws and hook activations. So what this means is that let's say you on game 1 you have Candlelit Sanctum and you also have baited hook and you have your mulligan. So if you're able to memorize all the stuff that you sent to the bottom, then you know exactly what you can and can't draw into and what you can and can't baited hook. So for example, if you mulligan 2 cards, right, you mulligan 2 and then you baited hook once, so there's 4 cards, and then you baited hook again, that's 4 cards. So that's in total you have 10 cards, and if you're on Sanctum this could be more than 10, but basically this is 10 cards that you know you can never draw until you get to that point in the deck, and those are also 10 cards that you cannot baited hook. Like, for example, if you see 2 hidden blades off of your baited hook and you have 1 in hand, you know that you're not drawing a baited hook until you get to that. You know that you're not drawing a hidden blade until you get to that part of the deck again. So if you have a good memory, this is very advantageous for you. So for me personally, I am a software engineer by trade, which means that I have really weird memory and I can kind of store an array within an array and realize that, you know, the first array in the main array has it has 4 cards in it, and the only things I care about are maybe removal or Kaisa or units with accelerate or spectral matrix. But basically I have like a weird ability to memorize certain things, which kind of helps me play this deck. What one of my friends, Tog, says is to use the memory palace technique in that you basically assign different sections of a house in your mind to different things. Like, for example, if you see 4 cards, let's say Kaisa, Hidden Blade, and what's it called? Let's say you see a Matron and you see a Manufactor in your first hook activation, right? So you can say something like, inside of my bathroom there is a Kaisa, Matron, Hidden Blade, and Manufactor. So you know that you always have the bathroom as the first room, and inside of that first room are these 4 cards. And that means if you just go through your house, like you say bathroom, bedroom, garage, etc., you'll be able to find you'll be able to know what card is in which part of your deck, essentially. And that's one way that's another memory technique. A lot of people have their own memory techniques, but whatever lets you get the job done, you can use whatever memory technique you need to be able to memorize what's on the bottom of your deck. Even if you can write during a tournament, I would suggest that you have actual memory techniques, because that'll speed up a lot of computation. But that's totally up to you. You don't want to be going to time-minute tournaments, but yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on. The common misconceptions about this deck is that it's too inconsistent and it loses without hooks. So the answer is no. The deck does not lose without hook. The deck has a lot of ways to just beat you without hook. So let me show you a few ways, right? Or let me show you one way as an example. And this is kind of crazy. Or I'll show you some. I'll show you like more than one. So first, Darius is just a good card, but beyond that, on turn, let's say you're going first on Arena's Greatest. On turn 1, you can actually just seal and captain, and that's 5 might on the board into the first turn. And then next turn you're going into 4 runes, or you're going into 3 runes, but you're gonna have access to the 4th, so you can actually still do crazy things like Daring Poro into Noxus Hopeful, and that's 6 might, up to 6 to 7 might in your second turn. I think you can see where this is going. There are just a lot of cards that are just very efficient in this deck that are just crazy in general. There's just a lot of stuff you can do. Cleave is a highly efficient card. It's essentially a removal spell. It turns your Daring Poro attacks for 6. It turns Kaisa attacks for 7. Vayne attacks for 8. Darius plus Cleave attacks for 10. It's just ridiculous. So the concept is that the hook Darius can actually just beat you without hook. This is just completely untrue. It has a lot of built-in aggression, just like we described. They are playing lots. They have the ability to play just very aggressively, because they just start playing cards out of their hand in the first 3 turns. In the first 3 turns, let's say they went first and they're not using any power. So turn 1, maybe they'll just play a 2-drop. Turn 2, they have access to 5 runes because of their ability, and then the following turn they have access to 7 runes because of their ability, and that will be 9 runes. Meanwhile, the opponent is going second, and they have access to 3 plus 5. And by the time they've played 8, and a lot of times people on their first turn will even just play 2 drop, and then they waste 1. But this is just so they'll play 2, and then they'll play 5, and then that's like 7. So they're still basically, they're able to keep up in the pace because of that extra rune, and probably even overtake you because they have cards like, it's kind of nuts how they have a free rune or a free energy and access to Noxus Hopefuls. But yeah, Darius just has a very good mix of efficient cards, very strong cards here. You know, Kai'Sa's strong, Draven can be strong in the mid game, Captain is very strong, Matron is strong after Captain, and they also have a lot of good removal in the form of Cleave, in the form of Falling Star. Falling Star is the thing that makes everyone crash out, and 3 hidden blades can deal with literally anything, or you could just use it on your own stuff to draw, right? You can turn a spare recruit into more removal. Let's say you just have 3 hidden blades in your hand, 2 hidden blades, you can just use 1 to draw 2 off of a recruit that you got for free, and then we're gonna draw more threats and maybe draw our first hook or something like that. But the deck definitely just has a lot of powerful things that can just beat you without hook. Okay, so there's that's a misconception, and I think the deck's actual weakness is these 2 points. So 1, you draw too many payoffs or combo pieces. So Draven, Spectral Matron without Captain, Seal without Captain. So for example, if you have an opening, or if after Mulligan you maybe have a Poro, so you have 1 Poro, you have maybe 2 Dravens, and you have a Matron, yeah, you're probably gonna lose that game because you simply just can't do anything with those things. You haven't lost yet, but your win rate plummets. There are a lot of ways. Maybe you draw 2 hooks, or you draw 3 hidden blades and matron or something. There's a lot of ways to 3 of the same cards, very unlikely, but that's not really the point here. There are just a lot of ways where you can brick or just don't have enough early plays, since you only play seven 2-drops here, so you'd be relying on your turn 2. But at least if you went first and your turn 2 is 4 plus 1 plus 5, then you'll have access to maybe a 2-drop and a, you know, maybe you have manufacturer plus hopeful, or you have a 2-drop plus captain, so you might have to not play your 2-drop to get access to this. That's a whole nother conversation. But basically, you can, the bricks for this deck are actually very painful compared to other decks, where like if you draw 2 Dravens, the game gets very difficult, because if the rest of the hand doesn't have enough pressure, then Draven will forever be small. And if you pay like 5 and a red power for 6 might, you're getting a really bad deal in this deck, and it's probably not efficient enough. But yeah, so the deck I think has too many weird draw, or not too many, but the deck has very weird draws, where if you draw like 2 Draven and a matron or something, you probably just lost. There's just a lot. There are these weird sections that you kind of just lose, and I've personally quantified it as maybe 5 to 10%, and that's very aggressive. It's probably closer to like single digit. It's probably closer to like 4, but low single digits. But some of the games will be just completely unplayable. Like your bricks are worse than other decks bricks, and I would say that's actually offset by a larger percentage, maybe like 6% of games, 6% of games where you just have broken start with like 2-drop. You get like Poro into Baited Hook into Glory Seeker, and then you just like run away with the game. You just do broken things with Baited Hook. Like your turn 1 is this, turn 2 Baited Hook, bring out Captain, turn 3 attack with Captain, conquer, but you probably don't even attack just to ensure the security of this, and then you Baited Hook the matron, Baited Hook the Captain, bring out matron, and then the following turn you are probably at like 5 points already, and then you would hook this Captain again, looking for a second matron or Draven, or you can hook one of the recruits to try and find a vein. If you know, since you've already hooked twice at that point, you know whether the veins are more likely to, like how many veins are in the top 15 cards. You're there in the top 15 cards because you know the bottom 10, stuff like that, right? That I don't want to get too deep into the intricacies, but yeah, this weakness is definitely offset by how broken some of your starts can be, and I think that that offset is probably worth it to some people. So yeah, I think the deck is actually pretty solid, very more stable than people would think. It definitely has issues, but it's totally it's totally up to you to weigh that out after you play some of the games. But I think it is a worthwhile deck to learn how to play. There's just a lot of very strong things about the deck, and another weakness is also the colors, because some of the colors are very specific, right? So 7/5, a lot of lists will play 7/5. Some people like 8/4. That's like a whole nother conversation, just because of Falling Star, and you know we're not gonna sideboard into more red. But so maybe, you know, some ideas include like limiting it to 2 Falling Star, not doing this, and going to 8/4, because for example, on going first on Arena's Greatest, or even in game 1 on Sanctum. We'll go over battlefields in a moment, or during Decklist. But if you go first and you have your 2 runes and you have Seal plus Captain, and then you actually just find double red on your first turn, then it feels awful. It feels really awful, and sometimes that's just enough, right? Maybe you accelerate out of Kaisa and you're short on red, and you can't, like, you accelerate a Kaisa, you Falling Star, and then you're short on red and you can't do Darius, or for some reason you have too many reds, and then you play a Matron and a Hook, and now you're short on yellows and it's only reds, which actually happens more than you think. So it's actually really annoying, and I think that the rune colors is one of the weaknesses, where you have to sometimes ration out your plays, but you know, not everything's free. You just gotta figure it out. So we're just gonna go ahead and go with the deck list here. So our chosen champion here is Darius, and as everyone knows, this is the broken Darius. So when you play your second card, well, you can give it +2 might and ready it. So it also counts itself as the second card, because like the way that the rules work is that it'll come in, and then the second card was played, and then it'll notify Darius and say, hey, a second card was played, and he'll ready himself, even if he was the second card. It kind of is on board already. So you know, if you're at 5 runes, you can even play Darius and then use the legend or you can play the Darius from Chosen Champion Zone and use the legend ability to play Cleave, and then he comes out as 10. But yeah, so this is the Chosen Champion. It's really broken in the sense that, like, it can just close out a game. It can push a battlefield that your opponent's struggling to keep with 10 might. You could Falling Star into Darius, and you only need to be at 6 runes for that. There's just a lot of crazy stuff you can do with Darius, and yeah. So this is the Chosen Champion. This is the deck list. One of the things I don't particularly like about the deck list is that there are only 7 two drops, which is fairly low. Like, for example, Classic E plays 9, but they do have a lot more, or not a lot more, not a lot. They get 3 drops, but the concept is that in turn 2 they have access to, you know, Baited Hook, Manufacture, Captain. It's probably not totally, and Hopeful, so it's probably not, it's not really fully necessary to play out a 2-drop. You definitely mulligan to a 2-drop and Hook, but like, you can definitely win without it, because you can just catch up in the following turns using Darius' legend ability here. We're playing the broken cards in red, so we got Cleave and Falling Star, and we've got Kaisa's Broken. We've got Noxus Hopeful being a very strong card in red, and Draven is broken especially when paired with Hook, but not if you draw it. So you just want to avoid drawing it. So the main things you're looking to Baited Hook, as we discussed, are Vanguard Captain, Spectral Matron, Vayne, Kaisa, and Draven. Something to keep in mind is that Kaisa can be accelerated when you play the Hook, but you will need to pay 1 and a red. So that is just something to keep in mind. You must pay accelerate cost if you want her to enter readied. Our battlefields are Candlelit Sanctum, allows you to look at the top 2 and reorder. So from Magic, if you're familiar, that's called scrying. You'll scry 2 when you conquer this battlefield. And our Go First battlefield is the Arena's Greatest. It'll just allow you to start with extra point, and since the deck is very aggressive in the first place, that'll just allow you to push the pace of the game to a place where the opponent cannot recover. And going second, we have Triferan War Camp here. Triferan War Camp is just a great battlefield for Darius because we have a lot of little recruits running around between the captain, matron, and manufacturer. And for example, a manufacturer, if you throw everything onto the war camp, that's 7. No, that's 8 might, which is a lot just for 3 in the yellow power. So, yeah, that's a very good reason to, very good reason to play captain there, or play war camp there. But yes, and you can also upgrade your hooks using the camp. So, for example, if you have a recruit, you can put the recruit onto the camp and play baited hook. And if you do that, then the recruit at that time is 2 might, and it will check for 3 plus might, or 3 or less might, right? So a recruit on a Triferan War Camp will be able to get a captain or anything lower, obviously. So, oh, duh, and Draven and Vayne. It's able to get, so the 2 mites are able to hit a lot of stuff. But yeah, so those are the battlefields. The general game plan of this deck is to try and play a stable early game and to take the lead with hook and your powerful cards, right? So you'll take the lead with the powerful cards and by using the Darius ability to just play more cards than your opponent, right? So without baited hook, you're at turn, let's say you go first. Turn 2, or turn 1, you play I don't know, 2-drop. Turn 2, you have access to 4, and you can maybe play another 2-drop and a hopeful, or maybe a manufacturer plus hopeful, or a hook plus hopeful. There's just a lot of turns that you can mix and match. You could even just play a seal and then play out a Kaisa accelerated because you have 5. Right, which puts you down runes, but you know you're gonna get more. It's totally up to your discretion. But yeah, so yeah, the general thing you want to do is try and create an early lead using the ability and baited hook to close to eventually just have too many things out on the board for your opponent to deal with. And some things to keep in note is in the sideboard, we've got a Noxus Hopeful. That's good for going second. So you can do your turn 1 2-drop and Noxus Hopeful more reliably. And we've got another Falling Star from our unit-based decks. We've got Salvage for the Mirror Match and Aurora. And we've got back-to-back for presumably pretty good against, somewhat good against Kaisa because you can kind of mess up her Falling Stars or her removal. But yeah, that would be the rationale for that. And Bryn here is just good for decks that have a lot of removal, and you can bring it out with baited hook with by getting rid of matron. So you should know where in the deck this is. But what that'll do is it allows you to push through Kaisa's removal, like Void Seeker, Hextech Ray, Smokescreen, etc., etc., etc. Kaisa just has a lot of trouble if you can give Kaisa a lot of problems, or really any deck. You can give any deck a lot of problems if you're able to kind of secure 6 points before they do, because you have a lot of great ways to conquer with the deck. So those are the general principles for baited hook. We're gonna go ahead and move into the gameplay here. Let me know if you guys have any questions or any guides or anything you guys want me to look into, or if you guys want to go deeper into hook, I can do that also. But we're gonna go ahead and continue into the gameplay. We're gonna go ahead and get started with the review here. So we'll be playing against an Annie today using the using Hook Darius, and over here on the side I have a little notepad just so we can keep track of what cards we are sending to the bottom of the deck. So obviously you'll have to consider how you want to do this in paper, or what kind of memory you're going to need, because you're also going to need to be able to math out how many cards and do all that in a timely manner. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so just for the illustration here for this review and demonstration, we're gonna go ahead and use a notepad for all that. So here we're gonna be playing Annie game one. Game one, we'll choose our Candlelit Sanctum, and we will be going first this game. So lucky for us here. So our opening hand, we've got 2/2 drops. We've got a Draven. We've got Vayne here. We probably want to get rid of Draven and Vayne, just because they are not too useful, and it's also Annie, so they kind of just like touch and go. I think Vayne is like keepable, but we want to actually just, since we have 2/2 drops here, we want to just dig deeper into the deck. We're probably looking for something like Captain, and then Captain on 2, because we get Captain on 2 because we're going first, so we can get Captain on 2. We'll have 2 and 3 with Darius ability. We also could just use a baited hook here, because we can go turn 2, Captain, Glory, we can hook the Glory Seeker and then do that. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the Vayne and the Darius here, and we're gonna go ahead and record that in our notes here. So it's Draven and Vayne. Draven and Vayne's bottom 2 cards of the deck here. So we've probably drawn the most broken. Oh boy, yeah, this is really good. So this is probably the best turn 1 that you can have on the deck, or one of the best, but it's really good. You play the seal first, recycle, float 1 rune and recycle. So you play the seal, and now that you've played a card from now that you've played a card at all, you're going to be able to use Darius ability. So we're going to be able to make 3 energy in turn 1 and play Vanguard Captain and have 5 might total in the first turn. So we're just going to go ahead and do that here. So float 1, play the seal, and then recycle, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so this is the best start we can hope for going first. So now we'll be able to do something like touch, and then if we get a hook, it's really good. So yeah, now we have a great line lined up here. 2 and 2. Here we've got a Glory Seeker and a Nox Hopeful. And we're just gonna go ahead and touch. Opponent's gonna go ahead and stack deck here. Just trying to see if they have a Hextech Ray or a Gust, I think. But yeah, so we can also just preserve this material here. And next turn we'll have access to a Glory Seeker and a Captain. We're gonna score our first point. We're gonna go ahead and get rid of any extraneous cards. We're gonna go ahead and discard this Glory Seeker to draw with his Zon Warrens, and now we can fix the next card here. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and send in the Recruit, so both battlefields just die to that, but that's all right. So we're just gonna send both cards to the bottom. We found a Draven and a Hitter Blade. So now we know that there are 2 Dravens at the bottom of our deck, so we're probably just not drawing Draven. And there's also a Hidden Blade, which is it's fairly crucial in this matchup because they have the Vi and Ride the Wind combo. But here we're gonna go ahead and play a Daring Poro and a Hopeful, so that's really good for us, since if they take a point here, we just move the Poro to really whichever battlefield they decide to go to here. Opponent moves the Merchant to the Sanctum, discards a Vi, scores a point here, and they're gonna go ahead and look at 2 cards, send 2 cards to the bottom. Opponent's gonna go ahead and falling star 2 of our units here, and this is pretty good for us here. They get the Poro and the Captain, which means that we can use Matron to get that back. But yeah, so now we have a baited hook here. So this is very good since we have access to 6 runes. We can actually play the, what's that called? The Glory Seeker, a hook Glory Seeker into hook the Glory Seeker into Matron. We're gonna go ahead and send the Matron to the point, and we're gonna go and get Void Seekered here. So one thing we can do is baited hook and try and get a vein from this recruit. And the problem with that line is that we know that there's 1 vein at the bottom 4 cards, so we're actually not likely to hit a vein because it's like top 20 something. It's like 22 or something. But yeah, so we're gonna roll for it anyway. Here we still have 2 runes available, so the best thing we can get here is vein, but it is not likely, but it's also just fine. We do get a Draven out here, so Draven will be a, yeah, we're recording. So now we know that there's a hidden blade and a cleave and a hook and a seal. These ones I think are the ones we care about the most, so I'm just putting blade and 3 other cards. I should have wrote cleave here, so that would be an oversight. At the minimum, you should write everything technically. So we just miss, but we are able to still play Glory Seeker. In retrospect, I think it would have been fine to just go ahead and hook this and move the recruit back. So opponent plays a Kaiser and readies 2 runes here. This is a little unfortunate for us since we have 2 Vanguard captains, but one thing we are able to do here is hook the, what's it called? Hook the Glory Seeker. One thing that the opponent does not have is Void Seeker, notably. They could Ray, but I mean, that would be fairly bad for them. But I choose not to risk it here, so I'm just going to go ahead and play or use the hook on the Glory Seeker here. So that's up to 4. So we can get a, we're looking for a Kaisa here, since we have an okay shot at hitting Kaisa. Since this is how many known? This is 5, 9. Yep. So we do hit a Kaisa here, and we're recording what else we're sending back to the bottom here. And we're able to also accelerate the Kaisa. So by accelerating Kaisa, we need to pay one energy and a red. So we'll be able to pay with these 2 and still have 6 available, which is a lot. The 6 will be able to actually play both of these out, which is kind of crazy. And here, since they don't have a Void Seeker, we can run the Kaisa in here. We're going to go ahead and draw a card first, I think. Since we're ahead, I think we're going to go, yeah. So we're choosing to draw a card here. And then we trigger the Sanctum. We could use a cleave because the Kaisa is about to get on the board here. Let's see what we... so we send the Poro to the bottom. And we keep the cleave on the top. Now it is how many? We'll find totals later. But yeah, so we have a cleave on top because that we know about with the Sanctum. And we're just going to go ahead and play 2 captains out and make a lot of units here. So it's 4 recruits. And we're in a great spot here. We have access to 4 plus 2. We'll have access to 7 runes total next turn. So we can Darius cleave with this card on top. We have a very fast start here on our opponent. Opponent can probably just go here and then cleave over this. But then because we went first and because we're at an even point, they're basically just rushing the game also. So opponent will Vayne here, and our Kaisa is gonna go bye-bye. Opponent puts 1 card top bottom with Sanctum ability. And opponent moves Kaisa in here. Opponent draws. Opponent draws and then activates on Warren and discard draw. Opponent uses Falling Star to get rid of those two captains, but we do have 4 recruits and a cleave here, and we also do have access to hook. Probably not hitting a vein, but not completely impossible here. We could also go for a captain because we know that we have not seen. Oh no, well, we've played 3 captains already, so we're actually just hoping for matron, but we can't get a matron because we don't have a 3 power unit or 3 might unit. So we're gonna go ahead and send in 3 recruits to Vayne. That way we don't lose to Gust here, or Fight or Flight, or really anything in the 2 power slot, or 2 energy slot. So opponent takes the trade, we'll go to 5 points. We get to look at the top 2 cards here, and both of these cards are kind of lacking here. We are recording Steel and Hopeful, sending both to the bottom. We need better cards than this. We're gonna go ahead and baited hook this recruit because this recruit's gonna is gone pretty much no matter what we do here. And let's take a look. We have 2 matrons at the bottom now, so this is pretty bad since we won't have access to matron this game. So we're gonna go ahead and take that Glory Seeker here, put it on the board. We need to cross this out, but at this point we've already gotten a lot of Candlelit Sanctum triggers. We've got a lot of things. We've gotten 3 Candlelit Sanctum triggers and 3 hooks, so that's a lot of cards we do know at the bottom. And now we're just considering whether we want to cleave or not, but we're actually just going to go ahead and use Darius with the 4 1 rune here from Darius, and a red recycle here. So this is 7. Opponent's going to go ahead and ride the wind, scoring on our turn, or excuse me, on their turn. So this is really good for them, but we're gonna go to 6, I think. Yeah, and then Zon Warren's trigger, we're gonna discard and draw a card, so at least Kaisa is in our hand now. We can accelerate as an option. And we're gonna go for a trade and cleave the Kaisa since they have no runes available here. And now they're stuck at kind of 6. They're not really stuck, but they're also stuck on low runes here. Opponent's gonna go ahead and use one of their runes on a stacked deck. Over here, we're tallying the amount of known cards at the bottom of the deck. So we do know 20. Opponent is playing merchant to trade with Darius using a cleave. They only have 2 runes available here, which is pretty good for us. We have this and we have this. We have the Kaisa to accelerate, and yeah, we're gonna just start by sending a Glory Seeker, I think, over to the Candlelit Sanctum, but opponent does have the Void Seeker here, so they'll play Void Seeker to the Glory Seeker here. They only have 1 rune available now, and 3 runes. They're going into 5 next turn, which is pretty good for us. We're gonna go ahead and accelerate the Kaisa out here. Yeah, and then we're gonna move that into the Sanctum. And we'll get our 7th point. We're gonna go ahead and look at the top 2 cards before we do anything here. And that's a Vayne and a Poro, I believe. we'll keep the Vayne on top so we can go ahead and attack any of the sides that they end up conquering, which they might. And then we'll play the Poro. I think we can. We know that there's no Draven, right? But oh, we can. I'm not sure what we're looking for here, honestly. We made 20. Oh yeah, we made it back to the bottom, didn't we? Yeah, we've got Draven and Vayne. Yeah, so we made it back to the bottom, and then we put this Draven here. Yeah, I do remember this game now. Yeah, so we actually got to the point in the game where our hook is guaranteed to actually touch this portion, and we know that the Draven is there, so we can just get this Poro to turn into a 10 might Draven, and if they can't take us off this, yeah, opponent concedes here. So we actually got to the end of the deck where we were drawing so many cards from between Kaisa and Zon Warrens and Candlelit Sanctum. We went through so many cards of the deck, and we ended up just getting to the point where we know that the baited hook will go to this Draven here. This, as you saw, there were 2 Dravens and a Vayne in that hook, and we were legit right here. And I think there was a Matron from somewhere else, or I think Matron was probably like the last card or something in the deck. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and go into game 2 here. I'm gonna sideboard a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and put in a Noxus Hopeful, and considering back-to-back, I don't think we actually do it. Falling Star could be good. Bryn Hills could be all right. So we're just gonna go with 2 Bryn Hill and the Noxus Hopeful. We're gonna get rid of 1 Vayne here, probably 1 Cleave. Let's see. Yeah, 1 Manufactor. So going second, we're looking at War Camp, like we were discussing earlier. This will allow us to try and make back some of our lost advantage. Opponent is on Dreaming Tree, so we can make use of that out of just basically just cleave. This is an example of a hand that you don't want. You see there's a lot of big stuff in the hand, 2 Draven. So we're just going to send 2 Draven back to the bottom of the deck. And at least we know that if we play baited hook, the chance of finding a Draven is very low. Until you get to that point in the deck again. This could be a long time though. Oh, we found the 3rd Draven, so we can really never get to another Draven off the hook. But now I'm thinking about whether we want to do something like Seal and Kaisa, but that, because you can get Kaisa like that, but I'm pretty sure that's a very greedy play that just doesn't need to happen. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Poro and pass the turn. So opponent plays a Vi and plays a Ride the Wind, then passes the turn. So I can try and trade with this. I can also try to Vayne. I could also try to Kaisa. And another thing we can do here is just use these 2 and then play a Kaisa and a Noxus. I mean, technically, or what's it called? A Vayne. But that play is a little, I don't know, not necessary. If this doesn't die here, it might be necessary. Our opponent is probably pretty happy there's here, since we can probably just do a flat. Yep, the opponent plays Flash and draws a card here, so we're gonna go ahead and score a point. So we're gonna go ahead and play Kaisa here and then Noxus Hopeful. We're just thinking if we need to put this here, but put the Hopeful there, but I don't think so. I think we just let the opponent take this Poro for free. So here the opponent sends Vi in to attack the Dreaming Tree and take out a Poro, scoring their 3rd point here. So we've got a few options here. We can play Vayne, we can play what's it called? The Noxus Hopeful. We can play Darius plus Noxus Hopeful. And we can also try and get a draw with Kaisa, which is actually fairly unlikely here. I'm gonna go ahead and move this to the Hopeful to the Dreaming Tree, and then the opponent will gust their Vi, draw a card with the Dreaming Tree, and we're gonna go to 2 points here. So we're gonna go ahead and move the Kaisa onto the War Camp here. So the opponent can't Void Seeker the Kaisa here, so they're gonna go ahead and Void Seeker this Noxus Hopeful here. We draw a card. So the question now is how to efficiently spend the rest of our turn. We're just gonna go ahead and play a Draven and a Noxus Hopeful from our hand. Pass. Noxus Hopeful is at 6 might to our opponent, and we also have a 4 might unit, so this plays around Falling Star pretty well. The opponent that would be a large commitment from the opponent. So here opponent goes ahead and plays Vayne, and we lose our Kaisa here, and they pass the turn. So now we can Vayne there, or we can send this in. Opponent has 3. They could have a Void Seeker, they could have Flash, they could have Rebuke. So let's just we just have to start checking for things. So we send our Draven into the Dreaming Tree, and then we'll score a point, putting Draven up to 7. And we're gonna go ahead and play a Vayne out here. I could see it being Vayne first, just so we can get the ability to put it back in hand. So we're gonna go ahead and send in the Vayne here, and the opponent's gonna go ahead and use a stack deck. Maybe looking for a Flash or a Rebuke or something. Rebuke's not too good because we have Darius still, and we could just Darius, or we could just Vayne again. Frankly, we have options. So opponent plays Fight or Flight, moves the Vayne back to base, and we're gonna go ahead and conquer here. We're gonna go ahead and play a Seal, and then we're gonna go ahead and use Darius' ability to play the baited hook, and then we're gonna go ahead and hook the Vayne. We're on the hunt for probably a captain. Oh, we'll take a Spectral Matron too though, but that's the best. That's just how it's gonna go. We'll see what we can get here. So lucky for us, we've gotten a Vanguard captain. We could have done Matron since we have 4 or less here. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and record our remaining cards, move the captain to the base. So this makes it very difficult for the opponent to go for this War Camp, because anything that they put on there, they're gonna lose. We are at 5 though, so that's an odd number. Not what we like to see, but it is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and play a Hidden Blade to this battlefield here, so that Vayne and Cleave does not just beat it immediately. But one of the problems is that they can just Annie and Fight or Flight and just get us off this battlefield, which will force this Hidden Blade, but it is what it is. I guess that's one way to... the Hidden Blade being hidden taxes them for 6 and 1 rune, so it's not the worst thing that could happen to us, right? Yeah, so opponent's gonna take that line. They're gonna play Annie, put the fight. You get the Fight or Flight back. Fight or Flight goes to Draven. Draven goes home. We don't want to Hidden Blade that to draw 3 because we would rather just have a 8 might unit here. Opponent's gonna go here with Vayne. They're at 5 points, but they've got no runes available, and opponent scoops because they can't recover from this position. Because we're just gonna go to 7 and then hold 1 and then hook again. Yeah, things are really bad for the opponent in that position here. So we were able to win both going first game 1 and going second game 2, but here we're gonna just play out the third battlefield for illustration. This is our go first battlefield, arena's greatest, which means that we'll both start at 1. But opponent has opted to have this as their go second battlefield, so now we are both starting at 2, which will make this a very fast game one way or the other. So this opening hand is okay. We do just want some more stuff to do. I think we should have just kept this. This is probably wrong. We should probably get rid of this matron. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and keep. I think going back, I would rather just get rid of this matron. It's too slow, and this is the problem that we were talking about earlier. Is that if you draw both the cards like 2 matrons at the start, you might just lose. And this is an example of why I should have mulliganed one, and that was definitely problematic. Easily a mistake here. So the opponent goes to 3 points, untaps 2 or readies 2 runes because of the Annie ability, which puts us in a pretty bad spot. So we can go ahead and move this over here. We can also consider to go there to deny them a point, which might be the best move. We did get punished for not playing the Poro here. We can't just take it, but it is what it is. We're gonna play it out here. So yeah, I think in retrospect I should have just went here to deny them the whole point, because they would go to 4 to R3, and then that's a lot better for them than it is for us. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and play the captain and the Poro, and with the Poro here, yeah, this is definitely a mistake. We should have just traded with that. If the opponent allowed to, because they could have gusted, but that's fine because it would be a deflect Poro. Anyway, the opponent moves this back here and plays a Kaisa, and the Kaisa accelerated. We'll go ahead and take care of our Poro. Opponent draws a card, readies 2 runes. And this is what we were talking about earlier too. I don't even have double yellow. So both of our points about Darius's true weaknesses, Hook Darius, is the runes, because we can't even play this if we wanted to. But we are sending everything here. We're sending everything to the Kaisa specifically because this plays around Gust here, but opponent has the best answer to it, which is Flash, and they flash that back to the base here, and they're just gonna go ahead and score like that. This is a very problematic thing because yeah, our plays are just really bad from this position. And then we'll get our 5th point. Then we're just gonna go ahead and play this hopeful and pass the turn to the opponent. Maybe we were supposed to play Darius, but it's fine. Not really important here. So the opponent goes ahead and cleaves. This is 6. They're gonna go ahead and draw a card and take out our, because their Kaisa's at 7 with cleave. Our thing is at 6, and then now we're just cooked. Yeah, and opponent's at 7, so we need to also take them out of both, but then they have the Vi and the Ride the Wind, and it doesn't matter, they'll just go get both and we lose. And this was a good example to show, because this is one easy way to have unplayable games. You know, the mulligan was wrong. I should have mulliganed away one of these, but help was not coming. Even if I mulliganed that, I probably lose anyway. so far we were both overdrawing our matrons and not even able to play a single matron. But yeah, that'll conclude our review for today. Go ahead and leave in the comments if you guys have any questions, or if you guys want something more in-depth about anything Riftbound. Really, I'd be glad to oblige if I can manage it. There's a lot going on, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.